Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to be breaking down some common beliefs about music production that are holding you back and slowing you down, and they don't need to slow you down. You need to start making progress today. You need to start releasing music this week, this month. And in this video, I'm going to teach you why that is the case. And we're going to be breaking down some of these common beliefs that keep people stuck for years and years and years without making any progress. Let's jump into the first belief that I've seen many times. My music isn't at the industry standard. So let's break this down. Usually, most people are worried about the loudness of the track, the arrangement, the how is it going to hold up against the industry standard. But what even is the industry standard? Has anyone actually laid down a set of rules or criteria that makes a track industry standard? The one thing I can think of, if you're making house music, for example, electronic music, it needs to be at a sufficiently loudness so that it can compete with other tracks in the club. As long as you're doing that, it takes one afternoon to learn how to master a track to that level. It shouldn't be taking years and years to learn that one skill. So once you've got a track, once you know how to make your track as loud as it can be, which takes a couple of hours, and you've got your basic idea and you've learn how to make a pattern which sounds passable and you've got a passable arrangement, start releasing music straight away. You don't need to keep waiting and perfecting, waiting to make the perfect track. You should start now because the industry standard is changing all the time and you need to get used to releasing music and putting yourself out there as a skill. The more you put yourself out there, the more confident you're going to become. And in the process of doing that, you're also going to improve your ability to make good decisions in music production, which is going to improve your music production ability naturally as well. So don't put off releasing music. Spend minimal time, a couple days, learning mixing and mastering. You don't need to overthink that. Just get the kick and the bass smacking like at a good level and just put a basic mastering chain and use metering to get it to like 9 LUFS or whatever for the club if you're making club music. So music isn't at the industry standard doesn't make any sense. You should be confident in your abilities to do that very quickly. So I'm not good at finishing tracks. The reason you're not good at finishing tracks is because you haven't finished any tracks. So it's a paradox. The more that you don't finish tracks, then you're not practicing that skill and then you're not finishing tracks. So you need to practice actually just finishing more tracks. So every track you start, make sure you finish it. You don't have to overthink it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get in the habit of completing the arrangement. Complete the arrangement, add all the bits of interest and the tension, the release and stuff. And then over time, because you're finishing more tracks and releasing it, as we said on this side, you will get better at finishing tracks. And in terms of releasing the tracks, you can do it independently these days through stuff like DistroKid. I'll make more videos on this in the future, but it is possible. So don't wait to release your music. Get used to just finishing tracks and actually releasing it. And don't overthink it too much. When you first started making music, you probably started releasing it all the time without overthinking it. But you've got to just to pass the beginner stage and you're starting to overthink too much. So to get better at finishing tracks, you have to just finish more tracks. Very, very simple. I need to learn everything about production, mixing, and mastering. This is another one, and it's another massive false belief that people have. And you may find yourself watching loads of tutorials on YouTube going really, really technical. But all of the technical details are just going to add final 10% that don't really matter. The main thing is, as we said on the past slide, actually finishing tracks in the first place. And then you can get more skilled at the details, the nuances as time goes on. You can find mentors, you can do advanced courses, but you don't need to know every single thing about music production to start releasing music today. So this is another limiting belief. You can learn mixing and mastering in one afternoon. It doesn't need to be complicated. I'm going to show you this on this channel, I promise you. So you don't need to know everything about production, mixing and mastering. That's just another fake belief. Let's move on to the next one. I want to launch my artist project with the perfect tracks. This is another form of perfectionism. So you're waiting to have the perfect techniques and learn everything you can so that you don't mess up in public. But this is just is holding you back. It's false. If you start to launch your artist project today, you're going to build up that muscle of resilience of if you get a hater then who says they don't like your track, that's fine. You can just take that criticism and move on and not be affected by it. You're never going to have a perfect moment, a perfect track. You're never going to feel like a perfect track is ready. Trust me, I've been doing this for over 10 years. So that moment's never going to come. The best thing you can do is build up that muscle of just releasing imperfect tracks. Get used to releasing imperfect tracks. The more you do that and just engage with that process, then your artist project will grow naturally, and then you're going to seek the right knowledge. You're going to realize that your tracks haven't been as loud as they should be in the club. Your mixes could be a bit better, and you polish yourself as you go. But don't wait to make this perfect track or get signed or something before you start releasing. That's another belief that will hold you back for years. So this is a huge one in 2026, which is content isn't my thing. So in these days, you really need to be making at least some form of content to promote your music. That could be an ad. That could just be a short video just saying to your followers that you've released a piece of music. But the best advice I had about this, I've learned about this, is to document, don't create. So when you're producing a track, you could film yourself, like which is what I do on this channel, or you can just film yourself playing the main riff and really tell the story of making the track. But just you can experiment with different forms of content, and then if you keep experimenting and just engaging with that process as well, you'll slowly find a form of content that actually works for you. But the problem is, if you have that belief that content isn't my thing, then you're just going to keep on not really promoting your music, and that's just not good for you and not good for your listeners and potential listeners who could discover your music through social media. So I'm going to go more in depth on this in future videos, but this is another huge limiting belief that stops people from making progress in their music production career. So this one's also huge. I need better plugins and analog gear. If you're making music and not using references, then you haven't even tried to actually make professional music yet. So if you can't make the professional sounds that you're hearing with the most basic plugins, like the stock plugins in Ableton, for example, then you're probably overthinking again. And yes, analog sounds good, and better plugins can give you nice sounds. But a lot of it is procrastination disguised as, oh, I'm making progress because I'm investing in better plugins and stuff. But it's just driven by this need for a perfect track before you start releasing music, which is just another way to just procrastinate. So you don't need better plugins and analog gear to start releasing music. You don't need any of that stuff. You can release music with just the basic stuff in your DAW. And proof of that is people were releasing music 20, 30, 40 years ago to a professional standard. They didn't have all the modern stuff. So yeah, it's nice to have it, and it's nice to have all of these nice fancy things, but it's not going to help you actually move forward in your music career. What's actually going to help you is finishing tracks and releasing it and training yourself to do that. So here's the next one. This is huge. AI has made music production irrelevant. It's not made music production irrelevant. It's going to make people who produce music anonymously or who don't have a real story behind their brand, they're going to become irrelevant. But if you actually engage with the process, put yourself out there, do what I'm saying in this video, start releasing music, even if it's imperfect. It's really important. That is going to make you a producer. You're not just someone who's prompting a specific style of music. That's going to get more and more advanced to where these AI can make really, really modern sounding, really high quality tracks instantly. But that doesn't mean that your skills of sound design, your skills of taste, your individual taste palette that you've curated, your ability to make hooks, call and response, all of that stuff, that's still going to be relevant even when AI can make a track instantly. So it's not going to make producers who engage with this process I'm talking about irrelevant, but the majority of producers who are faceless, not making any progress, they're going to become irrelevant, but they're already irrelevant. No one even knows who they are even now. So a lot of this fear about AI is pretty stupid. If you notice that the most successful producers are not worried about AI, they're very nonchalant about it. They just see it as a tool that they can use to make even better music. And I would encourage you to think along those lines instead of being scared and just procrastinating even more because you think what you're doing is pointless. So that's the final point for this video. This was a slightly different video here. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to just stop overthinking stuff and start releasing music, even if it's not perfect, and then build that momentum on your artist project. Don't wait for the perfect moment. You already know how to mix and master properly. You're just overthinking it. Don't overthink the arrangement. You have new ideas every day, and each idea is going to be better as long as you keep engaging with the process, keep releasing, and just trust in the process, and you'll get better and you'll get good results. So I hope you enjoyed this video and this new format, and we're going to get back to the production tutorials and more technical stuff in the next video, and I will see you soon.